Tonight on Q2, a spotlight on Laurel.
I deeply understand the community concerns surrounding this facility, which deserve meaningful attention.
City and state leaders come together for the first time as the state's forensic mental health facility heads for that city. Plus, wicked winds.
That's not characteristic for Montana.
Gusts as strong as 100 miles per hour tear through Montana and the surrounding area, leaving toppled trees and down power lines in their wake.
This is probably one of the worst ones that I've seen.
And
I'm Jonathan Ambarian in Helena. Northwestern Energy is set to take over majority ownership of the Coalstrip power plant next month. Now they're asking regulators to weigh in on how they're planning to use some of the power that comes from that ownership stake.
The MTN 10 o'clock news starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday night. It's good to be with you. I'm Don Hudson in for us. The state of Montana going on record and making promises to the city of Laurel as it moves forward with plans to locate a state forensic mental health facility in that city. Tonight, state officials delivered a short but concise message to the Laurel City Council. Our Vanessa Willardson was there and has the story.
I deeply understand the community concerns surrounding this facility, which deserve meaningful attention.
That's the voice of Charlie Brereton, the director of the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services, as he aimed for the first time to clear up questions and uncertainty for the Laurel City Council over the new state forensic mental health facility.
Patients will be securely transported to the facility under court order, and then will return to their county detention facility of origin, the Montana State Hospital in Warm Springs, or the Montana State Prison, or Montana Women's Prison after treatment without ever leaving this campus.
Dan Villa, the executive director of the Montana Board of Investments, followed Brereton, providing more clarity on the $26.5 million project, one that is similar to the hospital in Warm Springs.
We are evaluating feasibility, infrastructure compatibility, and the practical requirements of building a 32-bed forensic facility that will serve central and eastern Montana's most vulnerable patients, as well as the law enforcement professionals who care for them.
And Villa made some promises to the council.
And some of you learned about this announcement from the press rather than from the state directly. That process could have been, and indeed should have been, handled better. Going forward, you can expect a different sort of state partnership that is grounded in transparency, is respectful of local process, and genuinely interested in the well-being of your community.
While Laurel has been chosen as the location for the facility, the piece of land that the facility will actually sit on remains undecided. And as DPHHS just confirmed, there are no known options.
No land has been purchased. No offers to purchase land have been made to any property owner.
In Laurel, Vanessa Willardson, MTN News.
The cleanup continues tonight after high wind gusts, including some with minor hurricane strength, wreaked havoc across Montana. While the gusts were not as strong here in Billings compared to other areas, they still packed quite a punch. The winds toppling trees, knocking down power lines, and leaving more than 1,000 residents without power this afternoon. Our Andrea Lutz braved the wind and surveyed the damage.
When intense winds swept through Billings,
We got some big ones around here in the neighborhood. We're used to them kind of falling.
Mother Nature wasn't just huffing and puffing, she blew the neighborhood down.
It's a little bit closer to home, literally, when it's right in your yard.
Trees gave way, power lines came down, and plenty of folks were blown away by the chaos.
What do you think of all this wind out here?
Well, it's horrible. I mean, we haven't had this kind of wind in quite some time, so.
Fred Charette saw it firsthand outside his kitchen window, and it wasn't a breeze to watch.
While I was cleaning up my lunch dishes, I noticed that the telephone pole was just dangling. I didn't hear an accident, so I'm assuming the wind probably caused the issue.
Take a look as crews secure a power pole uprooted on Monad and 32nd. No crash, no boom, just the wind taking matters into its own gusts. Over on Grand, a tree came tumbling down. But only moments later, the chainsaws were buzzing, slicing through that problem branch by branch. And on the Billings south side, a power line dropped in the middle of a busy road, causing smoke and sparks. And check this out, a backyard shed on Custer and 5th completely blown over. All this wind taking us all by surprise.
That's not characteristic for Montana.
Leaving neighbors like Fred keeping an eye out not just for traffic, but for flying trash cans and runaway yard gear.
Nope, neighbors' garbage cans got away with a couple of them back, so.
In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
And those winds even higher and more damaging in big timber. That area experienced gusts of almost 100 miles per hour today, leaving dozens upon dozens of uprooted trees in its wake and causing damage to houses and businesses. And those winds even wreaking havoc during the night, toppling a tree right on top of a vehicle. A number of residents across the city were also left without power for hours as crews responded to the damage. Big Timber's Undersheriff Ron Swanson calling it one of the worst windstorms he has ever experienced.
Ones that we've responded to today are trees that hit power lines and pulled them right out of the house or pulled them down into the house, and a lot of sparking that we've had. One tree was on fire right next to the house.
Wow, a lot of damage there. Now let's get over to meteorologist Jason Stiff with the latest on this system and the speeds of some of those wind gusts today.
Yes, an exceedingly windy day. I've updated some of the peak wind gusts from our earlier broadcast today, but you can see East Glacier still topped out at 101 miles an hour. The Big Timber Airport, 97. Big Timber itself had an 87 mile an hour wind gust. All those wind gusts you see on the left side of your screen, those are all hurricane force. And we had plenty of wind gusts around the Billings area between 50 and 60 miles an hour. A lot of changes coming with rain, snow, wind, and cold. Your full forecast coming up.
President Trump making his case on the issues of prices and affordability tonight in Pennsylvania amid growing concerns from Americans about high cost of many consumer goods. Last week, the president called affordability concerns a Democratic hoax, saying they keep saying the word but offer no solutions, and failed to remind Americans that prices really jumped under massive inflation under the Biden administration. Now, the president's trip comes as many Americans face economic uncertainties and struggle with higher prices. Yesterday, the president unveiled a $12 billion aid package for farmers impacted by tariff policies. CBS News polling shows most Americans disapprove of the president's handling of the economy, but the White House maintains inflation is back under control and Americans will see lower prices.
Affordability has two components. There's inflation, and then there's real incomes. Real incomes are up about 1%. And what we're not going to do is say that Americans don't know what they're feeling. We've been working on it every day.
The president says consumers again will feel some relief with lower prices for vehicles after a rollback of fuel efficiency standards and deals to cut prices on certain prescription drugs. Northwestern Energy is set to take over majority ownership of the Coalstrip power plant. That deal is scheduled to go through at the end of the month, but now they're asking regulators to sign off on some of their plans for the newly acquired power. However, opponents are claiming the deals are not getting the oversight that they should. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Ambarian has a closer look at what's happening and really what it all means.
The Coalstrip power plant has a complicated ownership structure. Starting next month, Northwestern Energy is going to take over shares from two other companies. But the electricity that goes along with each of those shares is going to be used differently. Currently, Northwestern has authority to use 222 megawatts of power produced at the coal-fired plant in Coalstrip. On January 1st, they're set to acquire another 222 megawatts currently used by Avista and 370 megawatts from Puget Sound Energy. The company says it will use the Avista share to serve customers in Montana, but it doesn't yet need the Puget Sound share for that demand. So they've established a separate subsidiary company that will take over that power and a contract to sell it wholesale.
It will not be serving the utility customers that take electricity supply from us. It very well may serve some of the co-ops, some of the the large businesses in Montana that are choice customers.
Associate General Counsel Mike Green says the goal of keeping the Puget Sound share in a subsidiary is to protect customers from the operations costs associated with it. Northwestern says the new subsidiary isn't part of the regulated utility and doesn't fall under the jurisdiction of the Montana Public Service Commission. Instead, they're asking a federal agency to sign off on their plan. In a filing last week, the PSC said it appeared Northwestern was avoiding scrutiny on the acquisition. But Green argued that's not the case.
We really haven't, from my perspective, haven't skirted anything. We've just kind of moved from one regulatory regime to another.
Meanwhile, Northwestern says it's reached contracts to sell some of the power from the Avista share as well. And the company asked the PSC Tuesday to let them use some of that money to directly cover new operating costs at the plant. Groups like the Montana Environmental Information Center have pushed back on Northwestern's plans for Coalstrip, arguing the company was rushing in without enough oversight and not doing enough to demonstrate current customers won't be harmed.
The question is, who's going to pay for this enormous amount of power and a percentage of the plant that we don't need that's going to need fixing? So when push comes to shove, who's going to pay to fix it? We're very concerned it's going to be existing customers.
In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
The healthcare industry is growing really by the day, with about 6,000 jobs projected to open between now and 2032 in Montana. That fact has Billings School District 2 getting creative in hopes of graduating the future generations into the field. The district is now looking to buy the former Rocky Mountain Bank in downtown Billings with the goal of expanding and adding to the programs they already have. It's a major move, but one they hope will not be completely felt by residents.
Our goal is to impact the taxpayers in the least way possible, meaning that due to the leases that are currently offered at that building, totaling about $35,000, we could actually pay the mortgage at no cost to the taxpayer. It's creating more space for school without having us to go to the taxpayers, to potentially build another high school.
Now, if the purchase goes through, the district anticipates reutilizing the Lincoln Center and turning it back into a school.